Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at, well, something really fundamental, the care sector.
Absolutely. It's a field built on incredible dedication.
It really is.
It
But
is.
we also know it's facing some serious challenges,
Hmm.
especially around keeping good people and making sure everyone feels, properly equipped.
Not just guessing their way through complex situations.
Exactly, that feeling of being underinformed. So our mission today is to dig into those challenges, staff turnover, that guessing feeling, and maybe explore some potential solutions.
Yeah, drawing on the resources we've got, we have the Care Guide, which is aimed right at care workers, trying to empower them.
And that other one, Story 1 Teaching Points, looks like a teaching tool using stories.
That's right. Uses narrative, discussion prompts.
Mhm.
It's quite practical. It shows how the sector runs on goodwill, but often under, well, significant pressure.
Okay, let's unpack those challenges. The Care Guide, even on its dedication page, it celebrates carers, but wow, it also hits hard.
It does.
It mentions low pay and high pressure. And that line, praise is rare and criticism comes cheap.
Ugh. Yeah, it really grounds you in the day-to-day reality, the resilience needed.
And it's not just physical resilience, is it?
Not at all. There's this significant emotional load. Carers are right there supporting people through incredibly tough times.
Carrying that weight.
Exactly. That constant exposure plus the demanding conditions, you can see why people might leave. The Care Guide even talks about vanishing staff.
And that turnover itself, that feels like a huge issue. Because when you constantly have new people coming in,
It puts pressure on everyone else.
right, the existing staff are maybe trying to pick up the slack, train the newcomers.
While the new person is just trying to find their feet, maybe feeling like they're barely keeping their head above water.
It sounds like a cycle, a really stressful one.
Precisely. And that churn, that constant flux, it easily leads to people feeling out of their depth.
Which must be terrifying when you're responsible for someone's care.
It must be. The Care Guide actually has a section called Feeling Out of Your Depth.
What does it advise?
It's pretty direct. Learn by shattering, not by guessing. It
Oh.
really points to needing proper support, proper guidance.
Not just being thrown in the deep end.
No,
Yeah.
especially not in high-stakes situations like care.
It makes you wonder, too, if that high turnover links to maybe a lack of clear career paths, opportunities for growth.
That's a really sharp point. If people don't see a way forward, a way to develop.
Even dedicated people might start looking elsewhere.
Right, it's understandable. But okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's look at how some of these resources might actually offer benefits, some potential solutions for care workers.
Okay, yeah. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. We've got this concept, this care career tracker. It's literally a form.
My Care Career Tracker.
Right. And basically, it lets care workers write down their experience, their qualifications, even like where they want to go next, their aspirations.
And what's really key here, I think, is the validation part.
What do you mean?
Well, the form has this section, signed off by way. So a care manager can actually sign off, acknowledge specific skills or experiences the care worker has gained.
Ah, okay. So it's not just you saying you did something.
Exactly. It's formally recognized. That simple act, that signature, that can be huge for confidence.
Yeah, I can totally see that. It makes it official, tangible, something you can point to when you're looking for that next step, maybe.
Absolutely. It's concrete evidence of your development, and it ties straight into professional growth.
How so?
Well, throughout the Care Guide, you find these sections, reflect and respond. They prompt workers to think about their practice.
Like mini reflections.
Sort of.
Yeah.
And that Story 1 resource also has a reflective task. But the crucial thing is, these aren't just private thoughts.
Right.
They're designed to be discussed, reviewed, and then signed off by the care manager. You see spaces for care manager name, signature, date.
Ah, so it closes the loop. You do the work, you think about it, you learn, and then it's formally acknowledged.
Precisely. It makes the learning visible and validated. Much more structured than just hoping you pick things up on the job.
That feels way more supportive.
Yeah.
Okay, so that helps with development, but what about getting people started? Given the turnover, rapid onboarding must be critical.
Vital. And Story 1 Teaching Points gives a great example of how to approach this. It uses this scenario, the glitter situation.
Right, I saw that. It's about subtle exclusion, isn't it? Indirect bullying.
Exactly. A very relatable, nuanced situation. But it doesn't just tell the story and stop there.
No, it pushes further. It has discussion questions to get people thinking, talking.
And then practical actions, things like role-playing the scenario, setting team challenges around inclusion.
So it takes it from just reading to actually doing something, applying it.
Makes it much more likely to stick. And the Care Guide does something similar, embedding learning in its everyday advice.
With those easy-to-use advocacy stories.
Yeah, real examples of carers advocating effectively. They're not just stories. They're mini case studies showing best practice in action.
And the QR codes are a neat touch. Scan it, listen to the story.
Makes it super accessible.
Yeah.
Different learning styles. Maybe literacy isn't a barrier. It's inclusive.
Yeah, that's smart.
And you see that pattern throughout the guide. An arrow, a QR code labeled teaching resource, often after a story or in an action to take section.
So the training is right there, linked to the real-world context. Very immediate.
Much more relevant than, say, a separate training module weeks later.
Okay, so better support, better training.
Yeah.
Clear benefits for the worker. But how does this translate to the person receiving care? How does it help achieve optimum person-centered care?
Well, that's the ultimate goal, right? And it connects directly. Staff who feel informed, supported, confident, they're just better placed to provide care that truly focuses on the individual.
Makes sense. The Care Guide tackles this head-on. It asks that basic but profound question: what is a service user?
And it goes beyond just someone getting help, doesn't it? Oh, absolutely. It stresses individuality, rights, personal preferences, the need to support the person's choices, not just deliver tasks.
Seeing the whole person.
Exactly. And those reflective tasks we mentioned earlier, like understanding what it means to be a carer and understanding what it means to be a service user,
Yeah.
they directly encourage that deeper, more empathetic understanding, thinking about the other person's perspective.
And I guess if care workers feel more confident, maybe know their own rights better too, like through the legal info in the guide.
They'll feel more empowered.
Right. Empowered to actually speak up for the service user's choices, to advocate effectively.
It builds a more respectful partnership, really. Knowledge and confidence are absolutely key for person-centered care.
Okay, let's look at it from the other side for a moment. The care managers, how does this stuff help them? Standardized training, for instance.
Well, using resources like the stories in the Care Guide or the structure of Story 1 means you can deliver consistent training on crucial topics.
Like inclusion or advocacy. Everyone gets the same core message.
Exactly. A shared understanding across the team. And because the managers sign off on those reflection tasks.
They get direct feedback on whether the learning landed.
Precisely. It's not just ticking a box for training delivered. They can see if someone grasped it or if maybe they need a bit more support in a certain area.
And that ties back to the care career tracker too, presumably.
Definitely. For a manager, that tracker becomes a tool to see how their team members are developing over time.
So they can spot training needs more easily.
Yeah.
Maybe identify people ready for new challenges.
Yeah, it helps with managing talent, allocating resources actively, supporting individual growth. It provides a useful framework.
So wrapping this up,
Mm-hmm.
it seems really clear that tackling these core challenges in care, the turnover, the feeling of maybe not being fully prepared, it's just essential.
It is for the well-being of the staff, absolutely, but ultimately for the quality of care people receive. The two are completely linked.
And tools like these career trackers, these accessible story-based training resources, they really do seem to hold potential.
Significant potential, I think, to empower workers, maybe chip away at that turnover problem and build that culture of truly person-centered care.
It really leaves you with a question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Thinking about the bigger picture. How can the care sector as a whole really embrace and, leverage these kinds of resources more effectively?
How do we make this kind of support systemic?
Exactly. How do we build that more supportive, more knowledgeable environment for everyone involved? Definitely something for you, the listener, to think about.